were thinking about changing the name, just because not everybody is a student, and not only student need to learn, we all need to learn and advance our mainframe knowledge and career. So just so everybody aware, Tom turned on the recording. So this discussion will be recorded, and it will be processed and eventually uploaded to YouTube, um, for the community, just to be aware. So the recording is on, as you heard. And today, we moved our time of our monthly meeting from the Wednesday of the first week to today. So just to avoid the future confusions, let me also double check with our friends here. Are we moving this meeting to this week of the month, or are we gonna going back to first Wednesday of the month?
I believe it. I don't know. JJ, what were you thinking?
No, we only moved this one, like I said, because there was a conflict with people attending
Yeah,
share. So I think we should stay with the first week of the month, just as a matter of fact,
excellent.
because people have gotten used to that. So we appreciate everyone having the flexibility to make the change this month, but it was just because there was a large event taking place that a lot of the participants were going to be at. So
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. So just remember, for the next student user group meeting, we'll be back on the first Wednesday of each month. So which means that this meeting and next meeting could be fairly close to one another. So stay tuned. Today we have our old friends of the student user group with us today. Devante, that we've been talking to Devante before, and Tiso as one of our organizers. I guess Mary Blessing might not be able to make with us today, but we invited back our two old friends, and we want to discuss with them as a new to mainframe, but pretty well established in terms of their mainframe career at this point. We want to ask Devante and Tiso to share with us how they learn specific technical foundational knowledge of mainframe, and I will be the one asking them questions. But anybody in our attendees, feel free to leave your questions, and we will be able to throw your questions at our speakers today as well. And at the same time, I also want to have the opportunity at some point to reach out to our attendees, to recruit you, to encourage you to be our future speakers of our monthly meeting. That way, we can also hear from you and your stories and how you learn, and how would you like to learn to advance your mainframe career or enter this field. Alrighty. As we're moving on to build up our Mainframe Open Education Gitbook, we basically finished our chapter 1, what is a mainframe today, and we're in this phase have well-established structure, and we're welcoming new content flow continuously into chapter 1. So now it's actually a good time for us to move into build up chapter 2, which is foundational technology of mainframe. So leveraging this opportunity today, I listed out the current structure we have for Gitbook Chapter 2, which are these components listed in the slide, as you can see, including from the very basic brief introduction to ZOS, all the way to the modern application management. So our discussion today will be focusing on these components, and based on the discussions of how Tiso and Devante going to share with us from their learning perspective, I also want to ask them to share how did learning the above content shape of their career choice, and how would they learn next to further expand their career and choices. So let's get started. So as two of you, Tiso and Devante, you see all these components listed up here. Could you still remember back when you first got introduced to ZOS system, and how did you get to know it, and how did you learn it? Tisa, would you like to go first?
Everyone. Yeah, I am Tisa Senosha, a technical graduate intern at IBM South Africa. I work with one of IBM's customers where I train as a ZOS systems programmer and a RECAF security administrator. So I started learning mainframe skills through the Master the Mainframe challenges. Then we were still using the TN3270 terminal. As you know, that as some of you might have realized that now, most students are introduced to VS Code. So that's when I got introduced to IBM ZOS. It's IBM ZOS is the only operating system on the mainframe that I've worked on. I've never tried your other operating systems that run on the mainframe or the virtualization environments that are used. Even through my first training, that's when I got introduced to ZOS, of which is quite complex. It takes a bit of time to learn. To understand it well, you touch on technologies like the TSOE, ISPF, and I don't really use the Unix environment as much, but yeah, as you build the skills from ISPF and TSOE, you learn more and more about the operating system also and how all these other components interact with the operating system to keep your mainframes running. So ISPF is, you start by logging on to TSOE and then mostly takes you to ISPF. Sometimes I don't know if it's optional to use ISPF, but all the time I've been using ISPF. Unless you're using the modern code editors like your VS Code and Eclipse, you'd interact with ISPF. And for those who like running your Linux environments, you'll interact mostly with Unix. And as you dive deeper, you learn about data sets and write JCL, of which is stored in this data set. So data sets are mostly just what you call them files in open systems or on your Windows computer that you use, you'd call them files. So all of those components come together, and it's very important that you learn these basics to be able to build out your career, whether you're going to be working in applications or whether you're going to be a systems programmer. It's very important that you understand this technology, because all of us do run JCL jobs, but we hardly write them from scratch. So you find that your JCL is already provided. And once you've run your JCL, you're going to go through SDSF to see the results of your job. So that's how important they are. They are the foundational technologies that all of us who work on the mainframe need to understand. I'm not much of a software development person, so I wouldn't touch much on software development. The last time I developed software was when I was in university, and it was on Windows environment, not on the mainframe. So I believe that it would be different on the mainframe. When it comes to programming languages, we have a few of them. Lately, I see people who love the Unix environment using Python a lot. That's one of the languages that most younger people are familiar with. But still, the old mainframers, you find that they using scripting languages like Rex and assembler, COBOL. For the developers, they mostly use COBOL, and I doubt COBOL is going anywhere in the near future. We have some generative AI tools that can help you to understand your COBOL and also maybe try convert it to Java, because Java is also one of the other popular languages that run on the mainframe. But all of this, you make these choices of programming languages based on where you want to go and how you want to shape your career. For myself as a ZOS systems programmer, learning Java would be beneficial for me, but I wouldn't want to dive much deeper into understanding it really well. It's just so I know it because I don't use it much in my day-to-day work. But for someone who's developing applications, you'd want to learn COBOL and Java and understand them well. JCL, I think most of us do use JCL. If you either working in on the databases, or you a systems programmer working in as an operator, you'd want to learn JCL and learn it well, learn how to read its results in SDSF and the error codes that are written when you run JCL. Also, reading logs is very important. You'd use your SDSF to do that, your system display and search facility. To expand on my career choices, on my chosen career choice, of which would be being a systems programmer, I'd learn more of those technologies like SDSF, which I'm currently completing an intermediate batch on. It takes time to learn. I use a combination of courses provided online, mostly by one of the popular e-learning providers, Interskill, and I combine it with the manuals. IBM does provide manuals that you can use to learn more about these technologies. What I've learned is that it's not always easy for a new person to use the manuals. You need somebody senior to show you, or you need to take a course online, be it either you completing your Z-Explore when you having a challenge. That includes whatever technology that you want to dive deeper into. You'd also want to find a manual to use and know how to navigate your way around the manuals, because it's very hard to just keep all this information in your head. If you try to write notes, you find that your notebooks fill up quickly because you write a lot of stuff. I stopped doing that. I just try to know where the information is going to be when I look for it. So manuals are really helpful in that manner, because it's not like you're always going to want to refer back to the course that you took. No, you go through a course once and learn how to use the resources that you're going to have forever. So as you practice on the mainframe, it builds some muscle memory. But most of the time, you find that you use Google and the manuals to solve day-to-day problems, I'd say. So I'd expand more on learning SDSF, as I've mentioned, and being proficient in JCL. Lately, I've been installing tools that work in Unix environment so that I can get exposure in that environment also. Mostly open source tools are helpful when you do that. So that's where I'm trying to focus now, to write scripts in the modern day programming languages like Python, and also using tools like ZOSMF, of which we haven't mentioned here. It's one of the newer tools that is used on the mainframe. And if you're going to be working as a ZOS systems programmer, it's very crucial that you understand it well. IBM has changed. They're going to be, they allowing people to do most installations on ZOSMF. And as time goes, that's the only platform we're going to be using to do installations. So I believe for anybody who's in the systems programmer path would want to learn it and learn it well. The resources are free to learn it. They post online almost every month. There's a guild session that's going on. So you can always go and check it out. If you just Google ZOSMF guild sessions, you'd be able to see the recordings from, I don't know from when, but it's a lot of them. They will help you understand this technology. So that's the recommended learning path that I'd I'd give to new mainframers or anybody who'd like to learn. Use the online resources that are there. Most of these resources are free to use. On our platform, we have listed all of this. You can come on our Gitbook and see the foundational technical content path and pick up from there. Use platforms like your IBM Z Explore to get hands-on experience, because not most of us have access to a mainframe. But to learn ISPF, it takes some time, because the IBM Z Explore doesn't provide access to TN3270 terminal to beginners. So you'd have to complete some concepts pages first, and once you reach the advanced level, it's then that you get exposure to TN3270 terminal. For most people say it's scary, but for me, it's not. The first time I used it, I was excited because it looked so different. I I actually I kind of felt like, oh, okay, now I'm in IT. I'm using such a cool terminal. And yeah, ever since then, when we switched to VS Code, I missed using the TN3270 terminal, because for some time I didn't have access to it until I had reached the advanced level on Z Explore, and I could have access to it. In my day-to-day job, that's the terminal that I'm using. VS Code, I do touch on it a little when I want to use the Unix environment, because it's kind of not like the simplest thing to use your TN3270 to interact with the Unix environment. So I recommend you use the modern code editors for that. So yeah, that's about me. I give chance to Devonte to share his journey. And should you have any more questions, Nechi, I'm open to answering them. And also our attendees, if they have more questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Thank you, Tiso. Yeah, I personally don't have any questions, but you do mention a lot of resources and tools in your learning. Let's make sure that those tools are listed on our Gitbook, so it could be well captured and available for more. So I will keep us posted. I will keep an eye on the chat, but we encourage our attendees to just share your thoughts, ask the questions you have in mind, or let us know how you learn. Like I said, we'd like to reach out to you and have you to be our next speakers. All right, Devante, let's move to you. I know Tiso shared a lot, but I also know the two of you took slightly different career paths, right? You might be more on the business side. So let's hear what you're going to say.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background about me. My name is Devontae Hawkins. I've been in the mainframe space ever since my second year of college, so going on about 5 years now. But I am an IBM Z Stack technical specialist, and what we do in IBM Z Stack is that we help clients achieve their mainframe business goals by both Z hardware and Z software. So I don't focus on just one, I actually focus on both. So that makes my job a lot more challenging, I would say, in terms of learning about the hardware and the software, which includes ZOS, and trying to find ways to combine them together to help out our clients. And I've been at IBM for 1 year today. So this is actually my 1 year anniversary with IBM, and I've just so much throughout my time here. So but yeah, so I would say that at my university, ZOS wasn't even a thing. It wasn't a part of our curriculum. It wasn't even something that my professors taught. Out of the four computer science professors at our university, there was one who actually worked with it and knew about it, but he never did teach it. So I had to go out and learn it on my own. And very similar to TSO, I learned about ZOS through IBM's Explorer, which was master mainframe, so completing the challenges there, and going through the fundamentals, talking about ZOS, working with data sets and JCL, working with COBOL, Rex, submitting jobs, and completing those challenges, then working my way up to concepts, and then to the more advanced stuff. So it was definitely a great way to get introduced to it, given that IBM's Explorer is totally through via Studio Code and Zowie. So given that given that I was using Visual Studio Code for most of my computer science work, this was a no-brainer in terms of navigating it and easy to use. And then also similar to TSO, I actually did do some work with the 3270 console in Z Explorer, but then again, kind of outside of ZOS, I got the opportunity to work with ZVM and Linux here at IBM. So learning about that, going through the 3270 console and emulator, and working with some ZVM stuff on that was pretty cool. And it definitely did pique my interest because I did have to do a lot of stuff with networking. So so I really did enjoy it. And I would say that learning ZOS, it definitely is not the easiest thing in the world to learn. You definitely have to take your time and definitely take time to understand all the different components of it, because um no matter what client you're working for, each system is different. So I would say that, definitely brush up and get the big picture of ZOS, all the components of it, and then when you start to look at, say, like companies' systems, for example, find out what tools they like to use, and how they interact with ZOS. I would say that that's probably the big thing, but um, I would say for my career choice in mainframes, ZOS was definitely a big part of it. When I first joined IBM, I definitely did want to do hardware, but then also I do still have some curiosity in software, so I really wanted to learn both. As my manager likes to call me, unicorn, in terms of finding new ways to create opportunities in both the hardware and the software. And then also by learning ZOS alongside my college classes, it kind of gave me something else to do outside of the realm of computer science, in terms of with the mainframe, since it's not really a curriculum taught thing at a lot of universities, you have to go out and learn your own. As Hiso mentioned, there is Interscope badges of. I'm currently going through a lot of Interscope badges myself, primarily system programmer certifications, and that way I can have that skill sets, and that way if a client ever asks me about it, or even someone on my direct team, ask me a question about it, I can be able to answer on that. And then also it allows you to be versatile. And I think that once you learn ZOS, it can probably be easy to pick up other operating systems in Z, such as ZVM, ZVSE, and Linux, if you definitely have the determination and to go through it. But I would say stick to learning ZOS first, since that is the biggest operating system on Z, and just go from there. Um, I guess what would I learn next to expand my career choices in mainframe world? It would definitely be more the Linux side of the house, given that I did have the opportunity to learn about it for a few months here at IBM. I definitely do want to do more work with Linux, especially virtual machines on Linux. Is pretty cool because during my time at college, I did have a lot of opportunities to work with virtual machines and Linux from a PC perspective. So I would love to do it on from a Z perspective, but um, I would say that that's also a good path to go down as well. And then recommend learning paths for new mainframers. I would say definitely check out our Git book. It's definitely a resource that I wish I had starting out to learn Z, and it's pretty cool. And then also, if you take like a batch course and you learn something that's not already on the Git book, you can contribute toward that and inform more people about it. And I would say that that's probably the first thing. The second thing is to probably create your own content for it. I would say for me, I am more of a visual learner. So reading through a lot of manuals and tech documents isn't really the type of vibe that I go for. So I try to find new ways to make it more visually appealing and easy for me to understand, but then also explain it to my peers and other people new to mainframes terms like, hey, here's like this really cool visual one pager about all the components of VOS. Everything is there on one page. You could talk about it to your peers, and it's just easier to remember that way. And you definitely want to make it easier to understand. And I would say that one thing that has worked for me, I'm very similar to Tiso, is that writing everything down in a notebook can become quite a lot. So what I've done is that I've compiled a database of all the badges and courses that I've taken over the past 5 years. And I'm able to access that database, click on whichever course I did, and go through all the content that I got from that course. So I would say that you definitely have to find what works best for you. But I would say once you learn something, share it with others. Do like a lunch and learner, a webinar, a TED talk, whatever you need to do to be able to make sure that you are knowledgeable about the topic and that you are more understanding of it. And then also you have the ability to share it with others. And I think that that's one of the things that we as new to mainframers can showcase to experienced mainframers who's been in this field for 30 plus years and who's just been um, so involved within the technology that long that they're able to cross stuff just like that. So I would say that definitely seek out those skills and then also find new ways to bring new technology into the mainframe space. Also, as Tisa was saying, the mainframe is evolving. It's becoming more modern. We're trying to well, we do have Python on mainframe. I think also Go is trying to become available on mainframe. So really modern programming languages are are making their way into this space. So I would say also take time to learn those as well, and once you develop that solid base of knowledge, find out how they interact within the mainframe and how you can help contribute to that as well. I would say another great place for learning is the System Z Enthusiast Discord server. It's managed by Stephen Perver, who's a great IBM champion, and there are a lot of great new mainframers on there as well as seasoned mainframers who can help you out with any questions that you may come across. But I would say just take your time, go with it at your own pace, and find new ways to be creative and innovative.
Excellent. Thank you, Devante. You made me very curious. I would love to see a snapshot of your database you build for all the pages you learned. Actually, I think we should probably have a subchapter just to showcase how people learn what they've learned so far. I think that would be a cool place, and then maybe Tiso, you can share some photos of the notes you've been taking for a while and then decided to go with a manual. And for Devante, maybe that's a database, amazing database you build to track how you learn. I think those will be cool evidence to show how you get to where you are today. So for our attendees, you're welcome to ask any questions at this moment. As we said, and I do have one question coming from myself. And I want to ask this to both our speaker today and also to JJ as a senior and a manager in our line of work. So when you are learning and prepare yourself to enter mainframe world, do you think it is the current position, current job picked you to shape who you are, or do you think you prepared yourself to fit a certain role you are taking? How this choice happened? And are you being picked? You found more like that, or and then you started to learn what needed to do your job, or it is you prepared yourself having a specific role or position in your mind and then you just go for it?
My journey was quite different because I'm on the business side, not the technical side. So, and it was more on the job. One of the interesting things is, I just celebrated my 20th anniversary with CA/Broadcom. I had to say that my job history is eclectic is a bit of an understatement. I had a whole host of different roles in different organizations, and most of them were not directly in the mainframe division, but adjacent and helping out the mainframe division. And in those various roles, it's just interesting because I got experience that culminated in the current role I'm in, where I've been back in the mainframe division for 3 years, where the work that I had done with references, user groups, executive meetings, conferences, education, all the different elements sort of fell together in this one role that my current manager, but the woman that held the role beforehand, Lauren Valenti, had built into a specific role. So it was interesting because I had experience with every one of the different functions, but not all at once. And it's a very interesting role to be in because it covers a lot of different areas. So I've gotten to know a lot more about the business because I'm not aligned with one specific part or another. The different programs and functions that are reporting to me serve the entire division and different elements of the division. So I've had to learn a lot more about the business side of things and areas and information that are adjacent to the technical aspects. So my learning has all been on the job over time, being thrown into the mix and figuring things out. And there was no information or programs like MOE, Mainframe Open Education, or the starting programs available at that time. It was really just sort of go figure it out and learn through knowledge transfer from other people. So there was really not the ability to learn about the technical stuff unless I had been put into a technical role. And so it was the same thing on the business side. Go get into it and figure it out and learn along the way. So quite a bit different in terms of what's available today, what we're helping to build, and the different things that Devontae and Tiso have been able to take advantage of, along with the other folks on the call. So quite a bit different, but good nonetheless.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I guess one big takeaway I take from here is bring your expertise and bring your curiosity into the job, and then it will take you anywhere.
Right. Adopt an approach of lifelong learning, right? I had to become familiar again with the mainframe division when I joined 3 years ago, and had to lean upon earlier learnings, but then also learn a lot of new stuff. So don't ever be afraid to take a position or learn about other parts of the business, because in the end, it may serve you well over time.
So true. Thank you, JJ. And then Tiso or Devante?
From my side, I can't say when I started learning the mainframes, I was preparing to take on a certain role. I've just been learning a bit of everything. I've had a lot of different mentors. So with all these different mentors comes a different learning plan. But it's only when I joined IBM that they sent me to the customer, and the customer said, oh, okay, we are looking for somebody to join the ZOS systems programming team. Then I knew that now I have a learning plan and hands-on experience. Just like JJ, it's not only the courses that provide you with knowledge. Some things you can learn from courses. It's through knowledge transfer from those who are more experienced than you. So, and also I don't limit myself to just learning about what a systems programmer needs to learn. Since I'm also part of IBM, I also learn about what salespeople do and how I can contribute to the team should something come up. Also, at my customer side, I try to also extend my role. Like I said, that I also do rev security administration, just so I learned about all these areas. I haven't touched on much on ZOS storage administration, but my team does that. And, most of the time my mentors advise me to not spread myself so thin and, focus on this specific areas that I got employed to do. So yeah, you shouldn't like limit yourself when it comes to learning as a new to mainframe. You just pick up about anything that you want to learn, because you don't know when an opportunity will open up and what it's gonna be for. You might say I want to be an applications programmer on the mainframe, but when an opening comes on the mainframe, it's not for an applications programmer, it's for a different role. Then you need to at least have a bit of information about that role, and then later on you can transfer to your desired role, or you might find that you love that role more than the one you initially intended on taking.
Very true. Thank you. Thank you, Tisa, for sharing. And Devante?
Yeah, so during my first year of college, I just had my mindset on being a software developer.
Mhm.
I didn't know at which company, but I do know that I wanted to be a software developer. And then my second year, when I started to get exposed into the world of mainframe, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I want to do software development, but on the mainframe. And I pretty much just developed my technical skill set from there. And I participated in a couple of IBM programs, the IBM Z Ambassador program, and then a talent recruiter at IBM said, "Hey, I I I see that you've been applying to all these internships. I want to be able to help you. So here's a role to be a technical sales specialist." I was like, well, technical aspect seems great, but I don't want to be in sales. I'm not a salesperson. But I decided to take a chance my philosophy is that if a door is open for an opportunity, who would I be to close it? So I said, you know what? It could be fun. I'm gonna try this out, and if I like it, great. If I don't, it's okay. I can just move on to the next thing. So when I did my internship at IBM in technical sales, I was in the data and AI division, but my team specifically did a lot of stuff with DB2 on ZOS. So my experience in Z was actually pretty helpful for my internship. And then also once I actually got into the role and actually see what it was like, it's actually pretty cool in terms of I can still be technical and then also I get to help out clients every day. I'm not staring in front of a bunch of lines of code and stressing myself out and trying to get something pushed to production. I'm like, you know what? This is great. This is a great environment where I still get to talk, I still get to have technical acumen, and I get to make a whole lot of money, which is also the other good thing. So I was like, you know what? Technical sales specialist, it seems like a good fit for me. And then also I just got so used to presenting stuff about Z, I didn't want to lose that going into my career. I was like, I really want to find the best of both worlds here. And being a technical sales specialist gives me that. And um and and now coming into my full-time role, it's kind of been amped up a notch in terms of now I have like my own set of clients, which is the entire US. And then also each client has like their own specific needs that I have to help them with. And then also I'm covering both hardware and software. So I have to be knowledgeable about two key areas within Z. And my mentor on my team, he's been at IBM for 46 years. And the very first time I met him, he said, "Have you read the IBM C16 Tech Guide yet?" I was like, I read a couple of pages of it. He said, "Read all 500 pages, and in 2 weeks, I'm gonna come back to you and I'm gonna quiz you on it." And when he did, I got every single question that he asked me correct. And I think that you have to be willing to be versatile. You can't just stay in one area for the rest of your career and be like, oh, well, you know what, I'm gonna stay in this one area and not move whatsoever. You have to be willing to be versatile. You have to be willing to be open. And as JG said, you have to be willing to be a lifelong learner, a lifelong learner um, because opportunities can come to you that you may not expect at first, but then again, it's sort of like you've been preparing for those opportunities. So you definitely want to take advantage of them. And then also be confident in your mentors because they've been in this business for a long time and they've seen everything that you're probably going to see as well. So I would say everything that your mentor tells you, do it, no matter how crazy or either or you may think like, really, I don't need to read this entire tech guide because at the end it could be beneficial for you because my mentor was just telling me with this day, he was like, looking back on you a year ago, your knowledge base grew about 80% once you read that tech guide. So he knew exactly what he was doing in terms of preparing me for where I am today. And I could just not thank him enough for that in terms of pushing me to go out and read more and just to be more involved in Z. So I would say don't be one-dimensional at all. If anything, be three-dimensional and just be open to any opportunities that may be coming your way because you may not think that it's good for you at first, but later on down the line, it could be pretty cool for you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And then hearing from all three stories, what we're hearing here over and over is just get your learning going, and you never know when the opportunity will be land on you, and then you will be ready as long as you are keep moving with your learning. Thank you all. And for our attendees, do you have any questions for any of our speakers at this point?
I don't know. I see one of the people that we went through the Z Ambassador program with, Caitlin. I don't know, maybe if you'd like to share more about a software engineer role on the mainframe, because that's kind of like the puzzle that we're missing out on today. That's if her organization allows her to do that.
Yeah, I don't know actually. Oh yeah, looks like Caitlin could speak to us, although it shows you are muted. Let's see. Or Tom, do you need to invite Caitlin to be a panelist? There you go.
I can.
Let's see, is this working? Hey
Yeah, loud
guys.
and
Hey,
clear.
Hello. Hi.
Thank you for having me speak. So again, what was the question? I apologize. I was rushing to um
oh,
mm.
would like you to share more about your experience as a software engineer on the mainframe.
So it's definitely being a software engineer in the mainframe, it's a really one of the most important things to understand is this is a really long career journey, just like with any technical topic, to be fair, but it takes a while, and one of the scariest things can be like if you feel like if you rate somebody's knowledge on 1 to 10, just know, even though you're moving up, you're getting better, you're learning more. Sometimes it can feel like you're still, like you don't have all the knowledge when you're working with systems that are this big. And it's an incredible opportunity to work with systems as big as mainframes are. But it can sometimes feel like, even if you're learning more, like I've been doing this for like 2 years now and had some time in school where I was learning it, and I feel like maybe I'm at a 3. And then I talk with experts and they're like, yeah, maybe on a good day, I'm like a 6 out of 10 for knowledge. And those are experts saying that. So there is always something to learn, and there's always going to be somebody who knows more than you, but there's always going to be somebody that you can help. Like today, we had a training session, and a girl on my team was showing us stuff. And meanwhile, the people that like have been here for like 20 years didn't know about. And it was just something handy. I can't now, of course, I can't remember what it was, but it was just like something small. And I was like, oh, that makes things easier. Um, and then things like learning using the terminal. I had a coworker tell me today, oh, if you type in the command line like a number and then you do PF7, which will raise the screen, it'll only go up 7 lines. If you choose like a number like 7 or something, it'll go up that number of lines. I was like, it's small things like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes my life so much easier. Um, so there's definitely a lot to the system, but working with projects, one of the great opportunities with Open Mainframe Project and with IBM is that there's so many training courses available for every type of learning. Like I like doing interactive activities. I don't do as well when it's like slides and just read, like I'll read the information, but I really need to have that combination. I'm able to find that through these programs, like through the COBOL course. So that's my 2 cents. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Caitlin, if you don't mind me asking,
Yes.
what programming languages do you use to develop software on the mainframe?
So I focus mostly on JCL, just using like JCL. I've been working on learning Rex, and then I'm trying to get back into Python, but for the mainframe. Um, but there are a lot of coders that we support applications like co that are run on COBOL, and then there's tons of automation scripts that are either in-house made or um use similar programs. Right now I've been seeing a lot more work that's going to start getting done with things like Ansible. It's going to become a lot more widely used. Some companies, plenty of companies are already using it. Some of us haven't quite gotten there yet. So I think Ansible's gonna be getting a lot more popular, but there are a lot of COBOL applications. Java is a huge one for Java for the mainframe. I think it's called JVM, or is that just Java? Might be off. But Java on the mainframe is a really, really big one. That one's been growing a lot.
So for someone who's new to mainframe and wants to become a software engineer, what learning path would you recommend for them?
I started out with Master of the Mainframe. It's now Z Explorer, which is really, really wonderful. And I think going through the Z Explorer program is just so great because you get to learn all these new tricks. Essentially, not to say it's tricks, but all these new ways of managing data on a mainframe, handling these systems and writing the code. You get to get more into the coding side of it, so you can write COBOL programs or Rex programs really quickly, and you can learn to do it in the same way that you learned in school. So I think it bridges a gap before you get to, working with the terminal. So I think it gets you more familiar with playing around and writing code before you say do it on a terminal. So I think it's a really good bridge.
In terms of learning tools, like those days we hear a lot about topics like modern application. How can I put it, like application modernization,
Right.
and the same
Um,
companies are moving towards this DevOps culture based
mhm.
type of software development.
So I
Is
think
that
that relates to, I think Rex is still really, really valuable, but I think there's a lot of growth within Python, and Python and Ansible are the two like big players that I've been hearing about a lot and seeing a lot, not just at my company, but at others. Um, so really focusing on Python and Ansible in terms of for modernization, but to be able to connect to the modernization, you want the Java and the COBOL, in my opinion. I'm really excited actually about Go. Devonte mentioned Go being on the mainframe, and I was like, oh, I was just doing some projects in Go, not related to um not related to mainframe stuff, just for like a hackathon. It's like, wow, Go is pretty cool. So learning about Go on the mainframe, that's something I definitely want to get involved in.
That's really awesome. Caitlin, since we have you here,
Mhm.
if I may ask you on behalf of our student user group,
Of course.
will you be able to be speaker for one of our upcoming panel just to share
Absolutely.
your journey and your story?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Then
Thank you guys. Really
we will
love the
reach
Open
out to
Mainframe
you.
project. You do some
Thank
really
you.
great work. So
Thank you. Thank you for
thank
answering
you
the
guys.
questions and thanks for sharing.
Of course.
Um, We do have some questions coming in from Stefan. Some of them I think we can leverage as a great opportunity to also once again introduce everybody to our Git book that we've been doing. So the first question Stefan asked is how do I get started? So I think it's probably fair to say that you can always start by logging in and become a registered contributor of Mainframe Open Education project here on Gitbook. And the very first chapter of this page will start literally talking about what is a mainframe, who's using it, and what is mainframe today. So you will be able to find a very fundamental knowledge to get you into the mainframe world. Now, the goal of our Mainframe Open Education Gitbook is not trying to introduce you to a very detailed technical details, but rather introduce you what is a mainframe, to bring out the interest that you will be having with mainframe, and then dig deeper with all these tools and platforms mentioned by our speakers earlier today. And the second question is kind of long, so I will read it out for our speaker to answer. As an enterprise solution architect, I can understand the usefulness of mainframe knowledge, usefulness of mainframe platforms. Having said that, can anyone give examples of how mainframe solutions are used in production and organizations today? And allow me to start answering question here from my perspective. I think this is actually a great question to write a little blog based on your research about how exactly mainframe is used in production organizations. And we would love to have your piece posted in our Gitbook as well. So people have the same question as you have, probably can benefit from your answer, your contribution. And from our speakers, if you want to make any suggestions or answers.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Tisa. I was just gonna say really quickly that yeah, given that that I'm mostly on the client side of things, we do well a lot of clients use the mainframe for processing transactions, whether it's an insurance company or airline company or uh, um a large financial institution. All these companies have the same goal in terms of processing large amounts of transactional data. So, Stefan, in case you didn't already know, but the mainframe, well, pretty much runs the entire world's economy. When you go to check out a grocery store and you swipe your credit card, that transaction goes to a mainframe. When you buy an airline ticket, that transaction goes to a mainframe. So without the mainframe, a lot of the stuff that we use every day would really cease to exist. So I would say that that kind of answers your question in terms of how organizations use it. To go into more detail about it depends on each organization, of course. But you could definitely reach out to us, and if anybody has any experience, especially with large organizations, we could definitely help give you some insight into that.
Yeah, I think Devonte did a good job answering that.
Cool. And Stefan, I hope this answered your question as well. But again, we would encourage you to also output, learning by output. So if you could also search your answers for your question, and we would love to post it as a piece of information for everybody else who's going to use Gitbook. And then the next question, also from Stefan, is there a Linux interface into mainframe system, or it is just Unix?
We do have Linux on Z. So
Yeah.
what you need to do is to run it within ZVM, of which is a virtualization platform on the mainframe. And you can run just about any Linux distribution that you are comfortable with or it's beneficial to your organization. Lately, we see a lot of clients running Red Hat Linux. So it does run on the mainframe, also even in containers. I wouldn't want to talk mostly about the IBM-centric products, but yeah, we can also run it in containers. And even if you don't have ZVM, you can still have your systems programmer manage it on ZOS, and you as a Linux person, you can manage it on any other platform and package it to run it on Z.
Yes, to kind of add to Tiso's point, I know from an IBM perspective, you can do ZVM on Linux, and there's also Red Hat Enterprise Linux and Ubuntu as well. So you can run that on IBM Z systems or IBM Linux One systems, but you can also do Linux on Z. So there is a number of options that you can look into.
Great. And then okay, and then one more from Stefan. Are there FFI interfaces to develop solutions to mainframe systems using a system language like a Rust programming?
That I do not have the answer to.
Yeah.
Tisa, are you familiar with that?
What are FFI interfaces? I don't know what an FFI interface is.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that, Stefan.
Yeah, but also I'm not an applications developer, so I don't know much about applications development. So yeah, it's a pretty difficult one.
Yeah. Do you have any more, Nachi?
Actually, yes. So we have one more. Do you have non-coding roles as a data analyst? How can I fit in?
So here at IBM, we do have data science roles. Um, I'm not sure how many are there within mainframes per se, but I can speak at IBM. There are some data scientists and data analyst roles within primarily data and AI and then also within IBM research. So
Mhm.
I can just speak about what's here at IBM. I'm not sure about other companies out
Yeah.
there,
Yeah,
but
I guess I could also speak from Broadcom perspective. I myself also work at partially as a data analyst role for the education team. So we do welcome all kinds of talents into the mainframe world. Um, we definitely need your data expertise, and at the same time, understanding the mainframe business will also help with your being a data analyst role in this line of business. So definitely bringing your expertise, and we would love to welcome you into this world.
Mhm. Stefan, to answer your question about well, no problem for all the feedback. That's what we're here to
Mm.
help. When it comes to understanding the difference between cloud computing and mainframe technologies, which I assume as cloud computing. Yes. So a lot of companies now they are adopting a hybrid cloud infrastructure, which includes the mainframe. So you can run the mainframe within a hybrid cloud infrastructure in terms of if you want to run some of your data on the mainframe and have some of your data on AWS or Google Cloud, you could do that within a mainframe environment. So we really are trying to become more modern with cloud technology, well, with cloud technology. Instead of companies moving off the mainframe, let's adopt a hybrid cloud infrastructure where the mainframe is still essential in part of that. Because I will say this, it is hard to move off the mainframe because there's just so much stuff that you have to do. And then also, if you're moving off the platform, can the cloud platform provide all the same capabilities that the mainframe can? So, but yes, so it can have a cloud component to it. And it looks like you did answer your our question, Tisa, about FFI. um,
Yeah, I
I
think
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I don't know what foreign function interface is.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so we can look into that and try to get back to you, Stefan, best way we can.
Alrighty. And then I here as Eugene, sorry, I probably chopped off your name. So Stefan asked the same question, how do you get started? I think we answered that question earlier. So the best way would be looking at this website that has been showing on the screen that just feel free to join Mainframe Open Education project. And let me copy this link in the chat just so everybody can click. So join our page, and this is really the page you can learn. I would not say from A to Z, but definitely a good place to start. And then you're gonna start reading on what is a mainframe, what kind of roles, what roles mainframe play in today's world or business world, who uses mainframe and why, all these very basic questions, and get started from there. And then eventually, when you are ready to move on to the chapter 2 foundational technology, if you are interested into that, there are so much more to explore from this point. But we do intend to build this portal for us to start from somewhere, and then eventually we can all dive deep into the mainframe world. So yeah, feel free to come in, log into this page, and I would love to for all of you to become our contributors and added your answer to your questions as a blog or post here, and then so everybody have the same question can find their answer easily on this page as well. We're slightly over time today, so I'm gonna wrap up just to respect everybody's time. Thank you so much for Devontae and Atiso join us. I guess JJ jumped earlier, but I would like to express my appreciation to JJ join us as well. And thank you all for attending today. This is a great session, and we had great questions from our attendees. This is really interactive. Which is exactly what we want to achieve by hosting such a panel. So if you would like to be a future speaker, just like Caitlin, just let me know. I would like to reach out to you and get you on our schedule. So again, thank you all. Appreciate your attendance today, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nancy.
Bye.